So, can you please inform people that the session has started?
All right, let me inform. We don't get started. All right, we have some going on.
Okay.
Let's wait for about say 5 minutes for some persons to join. We have some persons
Okay.
in the studio yet, so all right. We are good to go. So, hello everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in for the webinar. Um, Today we'll be discussing on the topic Introduction to Cybersecurity. And we have our speaker here with us, Miss Halima. She's a cybersecurity analyst at Octave Incorporations, and she will be introducing us to the field and what you know we do in the field and how we can start a career in it and every other information that she has for us. So everyone, let's be attentive, and if you have questions, we can put it in the chat box. For those of us that are in the studio, you can put it in the inbox here in the studio too. All right, so Alima, up to you.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Alima. Just Alima is enough. I'll be introducing you to the concept of cybersecurity, what it is all about, and what it is not. But before we move on, I would like to carry out a simple exercise. I see we have about 7 people. Okay, yeah, now. When you hear about cybersecurity, what comes to you? Like, what do you think cybersecurity is about? You can just put it in the chat section and I'll read through before we go on. Oh my, no response. Waiting for responses. What do you think cybersecurity means? What do you think it is about? And please don't use Google. Okay. Okay, safety that comes with using the web. Yes, yes. So I don't think we have much people active online. Just one response. We'll move on. Introduction to cybersecurity. So when most people hear about cybersecurity, the first thing that comes to their mind is usually hacking, like breaking into computer systems and getting someone's info without their permission, stuff like that. You know, the cool stuff, black with their pressing computer. Yeah, ensuring privacy with data from the internet. That's very, very right and accurate. So what is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is the process of protecting information online by preventing, detecting, and responding to cyber attacks. Now let's break down all those big Oyinbo. Basically, the concept cybersecurity, cyber, something that is online, has to do with internet. Then security, ensuring something is strong, like there's a strong kind of wall or perimeter around it. It is not penetrable, right? So the concept of cybersecurity is all about protecting computer systems, networks, and anything that is online from network attacks or from malicious actors. That's like hackers, people who are not authorized to access information, preventing them from having access to it, and also finding real-time ways to detect cyber attacks before they occur. This applies to organizations basically. You should be like, as an organization, a bank, for instance, you should not just wait until you are attacked. You should be able to find ways to detect possible indications of attacks beforehand, and also have plans to measure to respond to attacks as soon as possible, as soon as you are hit. That's the basic concept of cybersecurity. It deals with protecting information, and you have to know how to prevent cyber attacks, detect cyber attacks before you are hit, and also have plans in place to be able to respond to cyber attacks. So basically, before we move on to further deep concepts, like, I hope the definition part is well gotten. It is not just about hacking into systems, blah blah blah. We are in putting on black hoodie, like, cool something. So cyber attacks and techniques. Some of the types of cybersecurity attacks that you can have as an individual or as an organization. The first thing on the list is malware. Wait, first, I have a quick question before we move on. Um, Quick question, please drop it in the chat section. Is a virus, what do you think is the major difference between a malware and a virus? Like, is a malware a type of virus, or is a virus a type of malware? Kind of. Let me check the chat section. I'm waiting for your responses. What do you think is the major difference between a malware and a virus? Okay. Waiting. Don't use Google. Difference between malware and virus. Or if you are just hearing the word malware for the first time, you can also indicate in the chat section and let me know before we move on. The response. Okay, so malware is a type of cyber attacks, and they come in various forms, like a whole lot of forms. The most popular this thing that people usually, there's this great misconception that people feel anything that's a malware is a virus. They think the only harm that can come to a computer system is when you are hit by a virus. But virus in itself is just one part of different types of malware that your computer can be infected with. I don't know if you've heard of ransomware. A ransomware can be gotten from different ways from the internet. We'll still be discussing ways to protect yourself online. But for instance, let's say you just turn on your computer, you're logged onto the internet, you download movies from NetNiger or any of those websites, FZ movies, blah, blah, blah. Sit down, relax, watch your movie. Then when you are done, you shut down. The next time you want to turn on your computer system, there's this kind of weird blank screen that you just see, and it's like, okay, you have to pay so amount of money, just like the name ransomware. It's a type of malware that has to do with holding people for ransom before their computer files can be opened. Like, your system is basically locked, and you have to pay a certain amount of money before you can gain access to your own computer system. This is an example of a malware, and also tiny bit of it. We have viruses, we have worms, we have Trojan, we have several others that are types of malware that your computer can be infected with. Also, social engineering. This is more of a technique than an attack, a kind of cyber technique. When hackers need to infect your system with what we call malware, they can do it from anywhere. Like, they can be at any place, and it is just your computer system they have to come in contact with, probably from flash drive. The use of sharing flash drive, or just picking up a random flash drive on the floor now and using it. You don't know if it is pre-infected with a virus or a worm or a kind of Trojan. Trojan is when you download, let's say you go to Google Play Store, you download an app that is meant to be a calculator. But then when you check, most people install apps without checking the file permissions. There are certain permissions that you should check on your phone when you install apps. You can download a random calculator or what other kind of apps do people use? Yeah, an app to download videos from IG. Yeah, thinking you're just downloading videos from IG. But the app can actually have permission to your contacts, your messages, your pictures, your location without your idea, without your permission. Sorry, without your permission. And you have no idea that all of this information about you are being shared. That's what we call Trojan. It masquerades as something else. It appears to you as something safe. Meanwhile, it is doing a whole lot of damage in the background. Now, for an hacker to use this kind of technique, that's the use of malware, they have to come in contact with your system, right? But the second technique that we have here, which is social engineering, actually involves the attacker making a kind of contact with you yourself. And these are things that we see on a regular basis. Especially things like phishing. Especially things like phishing, for instance. If okay, can someone just like give us a basic description of what phishing is in the comment section before we move on? Oh yeah. Okay. What is phishing? Oh my god. Yeah. Wait in live chats. Drop it in the chat section. Okay, so phishing is a kind of social engineering attack where the attacker, during this election period, if you are in Nigeria, during this election period, we have been seeing different kind of this thing like, okay, if you voted for so candidate, or if your candidate so person is sharing this amount of money, click on this link to receive your own share, or the links that misleading landing page. Thank you very much, AY. Or links that are sent randomly on WhatsApp telling you to click on this link to win an iPhone. You have to spin a wheel. Why would anybody want to give up iPhone by spinning the wheel on Google Chrome? It is not making sense. That's an example of a phishing attack, and different kind of things are going on in the background. Immediately you click on that link without your own knowledge that you don't even know. For instance, we have email phishing. That one is actually very, very common, and like there are a whole lot of people who still don't know about that. When you receive email that seems to come from a reputable organization like Instagram, for instance, you can receive a mail with the header, okay, it is looking like Instagram.com, and they're telling you to click on the link to reset your password, or from your bank telling you that you have an issue with your account, so you have to click on this link sent to your mail for you to be able to reset your password. That link will actually take you to a cloned website that looks like your banking website or like your Instagram account, social media account. But in actual fact, it was just cloned. Then you find out that in cases like that, when you input your actual details, it takes you back to the original legitimate website. Like that's the original website for your bank and this thing. Banks normally are not meant to ask for your details via email. But because these hackers are very good at actually writing out messages, you believe it is from your bank and you input your details unknowingly, which is an example of phishing. We have pretexting where someone can pretend to be, let's say, your best friend's phone was stolen, and then the person who stole his or her phone is actually texting you because you have your friend's contact saved. You think it is actually your friend, and the person is asking for confidential details because you trust that person, the contact that you have. Ah, that's my friend's name. That's my friend's contact. You send it to them, or if you receive like random emails. There was a time this was so rampant on I think Facebook, where people Facebook Messenger and then Discord too at some point, where people's accounts are being hacked, but their friends do not know. The attacker now, with the person's login details, text their friends to ask for details or send phishing links to them that will still lead them to other websites where they'll be able to get their own login details also. These people unknowingly, just because they see their friend's name there, they click on it, and that's just it, pretexting. We also have phishing, smishing. Phishing is a form of phishing that occurs via phone call. You know those kind of phone calls that you get when they tell you, "Hello, good afternoon. We are Mr. So from your bank. Your bank details are not correct, or your phone number is this, that." I'm sure a lot of people will have seen that before. It is very, very common around this place. That is an example of phishing. Yeah. Then when it comes in form of text messages, you have smishing. What other techniques do we have? We have botnets and zombies. This one is a kind of network attack where your computer used to orchestrate a cyber attack without your own knowledge. You have no idea your computer is infected already. And so are several other computers. They now act as a kind of network for an attacker to be able to carry out different kind of things like denial of service on websites, causing sites to crash down, and you, the system owner, does not even have any idea that your system is acting like a kind of zombie computer controlled by somewhere in a totally different place. Cyber warfare, that's the one recently going on a whole lot. You'll notice the world powers, US, Ukraine, Russia, US, Russia, China, blah blah blah, those ones, they are hardly using atomic weapons or nuclear weapons to fight each other. They now resort to cyber warfare, where each country is spying on the other using digital systems. They hack into several sophisticated systems, like their power grid of each nation's power grid, high tech computer systems. They can even shut down, like another nation can shut down hospitals, government facilities without even stepping their feet on our own country. So yeah, that's like how powerful cyber warfare can be. They now hack each other to spy on each other and to attack each other without resorting to physical meeting. Um, so there are a whole lot more cyber attacks and techniques, but we'll be looking at ways we can actually reduce the impact of these cyber attacks because they are everywhere. You don't have to be a rich person for you to be hacked. You don't have to be a rich person to have your details stolen. And then when you be like, what would they use it to do? It's not as if I have money. That is a very, very big lie. They after your data. When you say data, like your personal details, it is sold on the black market. Anybody can create a fake ID and use your name to commit a crime without you even knowing. And these things are sold for a huge amount of money on the dark net without your idea. Aside that, ransomware, spying, imagine you have the system like this now, but because you believe I'm not that rich, I'm not someone so distant, what would they use my details to do? Then you just treat everything anyhow. You don't install antivirus software, you don't even check for legitimate websites where you download something for. Then you get in the future, someone gains access to your computer but just lie low there, they don't do anything, waiting for the time when you actually eat it big and have personal details that can be stolen on your device. That can be laptop, your phone, your smartwatch, anything. They could have been waiting in there for years before they finally take action and use your devices to actually attack you. So, how can you protect yourself online? How can you reduce the impact of these cyber attacks? Because, like, they are everywhere. That's basically the aim of cybersecurity: protecting yourself, defending yourself, and preventing, detecting, and responding to cyber attacks, be you as a personal person or as an organization. Number one, the use of unique passwords and passphrase. I know most people actually hate the way they have to create passwords for different accounts. It is tiring. You can't remember everything. But still, it has to be unique. If someone should find out the password to your, let's say, Facebook account, you're like, okay, Facebook account, it is nothing, right? What if this person actually also figures out the bank that you use, then logs into your online banking with that same password? Just because you use the same password across all platforms, across all social media, Gmail, workplace, everything, the same password, just one, you don't change it. It is so easy for them to be able to like step up, no matter how hard you try to secure one particular one. If it is not unique, if it is easily guessed, the name of your dog, the name of your cat, and stuff like that, it is very, very easy to hack you. If your date of birth is what you use across everywhere, no matter how you change it, that's the first thing an hacker or an attacker will try to use when they are trying to gain access to your accounts. Also, the use of two-factor authentication. This one, it cannot be hammered down enough. A second layer of security. That's when you have to use like something else in addition to your password. Like when you open a Twitter account and you have to set two-factor authentication, you can use two-factor authentication apps or the OTP that you get when you do transfers on your mobile device. That's a form of two-factor authentication. Basically, two steps of authenticating yourself before you log into something. Your password in addition to something else. Now, yeah, the use of legitimate antivirus software, not just free antivirus software. Some antivirus softwares in themselves are actually virus. If it is so easily accessible, especially those who buy CDs that are just free in the market. You buy CD 115 naira from Alaba Boy, and like you have antivirus software. It is a virus in itself in the long run, and then you won't even want to continue spying and stealing your data as time goes on. Okay, what else? Sharing of too much information on social media. You got a new this, you post. You got a new that, you post. You got anything, posting it on social media. It is not advisable at all because someone who is so intent on like getting information from you or trying to steal your identity to commit crimes would easily be able to assemble enough information about you from what you post across your social media handles. There are some people like from their Facebook accounts, coming across their Facebook account, will lead you to their Twitter accounts, will lead you to their Instagram, to their LinkedIn. And eventually, with each of the posts on those social media accounts, you will find details that could be what they use as passwords. Some might even be so lax as sharing passwords on public community forums and stuff like that. If you're looking to go into cybersecurity, these are things that you really, really have to limit. Sharing too much information about yourself on social media. No one is saying you should not post. You can use social media platforms, but too much information like your location, your real-time location, family members, things that are likely to be your password. And also like when you're at the workplace, sharing information about what goes on within the workplace too are things that can actually get you targeted and attacked in the long run. The use of pirated software, are very, very get into pc.com, bam. I need Adobe Photoshop, get into PC. I need Illustrator, get into PC. The use of all these pirated softwares in the long run, especially when you download them from insecure websites, again, most of them are Trojans disguising as something else. And then the amount of data they are stealing from you underground, the amount of data they are stealing from you underground, you don't even know it. They are not secure, they are not safe. Installation of things like this are what brings ransomware to your system, getting logged out from your system, from your computer system or device. Then okay, always ensure you download from secure website only. The use of HTTPS, not HTTP. Update your apps and software. Most people they never update apps except they hear that there is this cool feature on WhatsApp. Like when WhatsApp added this feature of recording voice notes, that was when most people went to update their apps. Since probably when they installed it the first time. There's a reason why there's a reason why software developers roll out updates for applications. And if you don't update it, those things that they fixed that made them release an update, it means you are giving yourself like there's this kind of hole you are putting, a way for attackers to be able to actually penetrate and have access to your data and your information. The reasons why they update applications is because they've discovered that, oh, there is a kind of loophole here, there's a kind of error here, there's a way an attacker can actually use the software to gain access. And then they fix it and update it, but people won't go to Play Store to update. Update your applications and software regularly. Make sure you're using up to date software, legitimate ones too. Okay, so that is all about protecting your personal self online. Now, as an organization, what are steps that you can take to actually protect your security perimeter or make sure that you are okay? Wait, before we go on to protecting organizations online, are there any questions? We still have about 30 minutes. Are there any questions for now? Any question? You can drop them in the chat section.
Sometimes there could be some lags between the StreamYard and the YouTube, so it will take some time to respond.
Oh, okay, okay. I'll just wait then. Oh, okay. Let me wait for more questions before I answer your question, Azan. Let's wait for a few more questions. I guess we can just move on. Okay, so two-factor. Okay, let me address Azan's question first. Two-factor authentication does not mean having multiple passwords on one platform. In the first place, when you are talking about multiple, there is something called multi-factor authentication, and then there is something called two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication does not mean you have multiple passwords on one account. No, it's just like two ways. Okay, let's say for instance now you are using an application and two-factor authentication is not activated. This is what will happen. You just input your username and your password, then you are able to log in. That's all. Now let's say this password gets leaked and someone else, like an hacker, tries to log in with those details. The person has your username and your password already. That's all. They can log in from anywhere. But with two-factor authentication, they add this extra layer of security. So after inputting your password, you still have to confirm that, okay, this is me. I am the one trying to log in. That is why they use things like OTP. They send a code to your email or your phone number. Then there are also the use of authentication apps like Google Authenticator, Authy, that you can use too. This authenticator apps generate numbers at random until and they are usually like connected to a phone. So someone from another location can never ever be able to log into your account with just your username and password if they don't have the code from that authenticator app. You yourself, if you have to log in on a different device than the one you usually use, or at any point in time, you have to use the code from the authenticator app or OTP sent to your phone number or email address. It depends on what you decide to set as your two-factor authentication. So it is not about having multiple passwords on one platform. The fact that you mentioned multiple will make me like digress a bit. We also have something called multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication, rather than just two-factor, has to do with using like different layers to be able to authenticate yourself and be able to see that this, two-factor just has to do with two. But when you're talking about multi-factor authentication, it has to do with more than two things that you can use. When you have to use your like biometrics to log into a place, there are doors, some doors that you have to enter. Or not even doors, unlocking your phone. Unlocking your phone, you can use different kind of authentication methods to unlock your phone. You can try to use your face scan, as face ID stuff, password, and for those that have fingerprints. That's an example of a multi-factor authentication. Then okay, is updating an app a must? Yes, it is very, very important. The reason why software developers actually bring updates to you is because from the beginning of software development, like from the creation of a software to when they push it to production, it cannot be said to be 100% secure. No system is 100% secure. There is nothing that you can say is, okay, we have taken all cybersecurity measures. Our application or software is now 100% secure. Nothing can be breached. That is a lie. So that's why constantly they look for vulnerabilities. That's loopholes, places where hackers can try to pass through to be able to get your details. Like let's say for instance, if you have apps, example of loopholes that apps can have, for instance, if you have an app that can allow you to no or a website, yes, if you have a website now that can allow you build a website, but hackers found out that if they should check your URL, there are some links that you see online. Then when you want to go to the home page, it will write stroke home. When you want to go to another page, like their contact us page, it will write stroke contact us. If an hacker should find out that, if they should erase that contact us and put something like stroke admin, they'll be able to have access to admin dashboard where they can see the passwords and usernames of all registered users. That's the kind of vulnerability. That's something like that they are saying. So when the software developers constantly check out for loopholes in their application or software builds, they need to update it as soon as possible before hackers can use that as the medium of entry for attack. It is when they now patch this, they call it patching. It is when they now patch this and fix it. That's when they release an update to you and tell you that, okay, something new has been done. It is not just about update is not just about something fancy like when WhatsApp tells you that you can now do this, you cannot do that. In the background, something was actually fixed, something was prevented from happening, or if they see something that can make the app work better, easier for you, that's the reason why you have to update it. Because if you keep using that old updates, like the one with the loopholes that was blocked, then that means you've not protected yourself from what the developers were trying to do, like preventing hackers from using that entry point as a means to hack you. Lastly, okay, the question. Oh, not lastly. So yeah, updating applications are very, very important. Very, very. You should update your apps regularly as soon as they are updates. What kind of virus attaches itself to almost all your known or logged in accounts? There are different kind of viruses with different kind of ways that they actually act. Depends on how they were programmed. It depends on how they are programmed. So you can't just like from the character of one judge this thing. But the best thing is try to take measures to prevent viruses from getting to your computer system, your mobile device. Don't use anyhow kind of flash drive. Don't share flash drive anyhow. Download from secure websites. Don't download from NetNiger and FZ movies. Stop using cracked software. Things like that are entry points. It can be any kind of virus that actually attach itself to almost all of your files. It depends on how it was programmed. A virus can be designed to just do something so little, and then another can be designed to destroy the life of your system. How long does it take to hack a password? This will be going too deep. I'm not taking a class on this thing here. How long it takes actually depends. Like the more unique your password is, the longer, and not just like the longer it is, the more unique it is, like the harder it is to guess, the longer it takes to hack it. If your password is something easy to guess, like your birth date or using dog or I love you 1234, simple things that you can just think of, 1 2 3 4 4 3 2 1, number sequences like that, or just your name, your mother's name, your date of birth. The easier it is to guess your password, the easier it is to hack it. So you can't just say like this is the particular amount of time it can take you to hack a password. Yeah, that's all questions. Let's quickly move on to how to protect yourself as an organization. So first, securing your network perimeter, you have to use like things like firewalls. We have stuff like intrusion detection systems, intrusion detection prevention systems. But basically, all of what these are, let's just say like firewalls, yeah. They used to like secure your network perimeter. As an organization, you have to have internal organizations mostly have internal networks that they use, not just when you are talking of network. How do I explain? Okay, networking themselves is how things are connected, right? And organizations need to find a way to share files, communicate, work, stuff like that. There's a need to secure this so that people will not be able to gain access to confidential data inside the organization. So that's why you need to set up things like firewalls. For example, let me give you a low level scenario of the reason why you have to use this as an organization. Let's say, for instance, you discover that people are sending phishing mails to staff in the organizations now. That's phishing mails, like we described earlier, things that appear to be so real, but all they're after is getting login details and personal information. If someone should start sending this to staffs in your organizations and you discover that it is via email, what you can do is analyze the email sent, check for the information. Definitely, you get the source IP address and um, every other details that you need. Now, with the use of firewalls, you can actually filter the kind of IP addresses that are allowed to send or communicate with your network. That's if you discover that okay, this sender with so IP address as is fond of sending phishing emails to staff in an organization, you can filter that IP, add it to blocked list, and it's stuff like firewalls that do things like that to prevent or reduce the level of phishing and other network-based attacks that can occur to an organization. Also, the use of legitimate anti-malware and antivirus software. As an organization, it is really, really, really paramount, like even more than personal individuals, for you to use legitimate softwares. You can't even afford to use pirated softwares or below standard because the weaker your perimeter, your security perimeter is, the easier it is for hackers to penetrate. And this is very common with small scale businesses because people believe like they don't have the resources to keep themselves secure yet. So they try to hack through them easily. And when you are so lax on things like antivirus software, anti-malware, or software generally, like you're an organization and you're using cracked software, that's not even making sense. And things like can be as basic as Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, this Windows operating system that we all use. Majorly, it is even common. Everyone, Microsoft Word and this thing you're using. So there's only few people that actually buy this software, like Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel software to use, like Windows too. It's just few people. But as an organization, you can't afford to use all those kind of cracked versions because it makes you really, really prone to attack, like easily hackable. Also, to protect yourself as an organization, there is a need for staff awareness and orientation. Regular staff awareness and orientation. Cybersecurity, I will come to your question on this one. Come in, please. So, cybersecurity is not just about, it's not just, does not just have to do with those who are in the field. Everybody, so far you're on the internet, so far you have a device, you need to be cyber aware. You need to have the knowledge of cybersecurity. And that is why it is very, very important. Very, very important to educate your staffs on the need to be secure with everything. Last year, sometime last year, I think middle of last year, we heard that the ShopRite in a country in Africa was hacked. ShopRite. Like, it made the news then. It was big. And why? Because the staffs, those working at the pay this thing, they were saving customers' data in notepad files, just like text files there on the system. It was not secure, nothing was protected. It was just there. Things like staff awareness and orientation can help prevent this. If your staff should know that, okay, if you see a link that appears to be from the IT department without any prior notice, do not click on it. If you see a link telling you to reset your password, don't. If you see someone trying to like get your details or trying to catfish as your boss, don't give into it. And several other things. Like there's a need for regular staff awareness because as humans, we are the weakest chain in the link of like in the security chain. We are the weakest link in the security chain. You can update your software, you can use up-to-date applications, anti-malware software, even legitimate ones. But if your staff are not well oriented or aware of the need to protect these things, they can actually be the entry point that the hackers will use to gain access to your network infrastructure as an organization. Also, yeah, the regular backup of data. Like I mentioned earlier, there is nothing like 100% security. You can never be totally secure. There's like 100%, okay, we fixed everything, so now we are secure, we can never be hacked. Even the biggest organizations, even the biggest tech companies, even security companies get hacked. There is not like 100% security. So there's a need to regularly back up your data in case of any kind of irregularities that can occur. This will like help you in a sense of business continuity plan because you want to keep customers waiting, you want to keep clients waiting or lose their data. Regular backup of data will help you be able to get back on your feet immediately after a cyber attack has occurred. You need to prepare. Like that's the third part of the definition of cybersecurity that we gave. You should be able to like detect, prevent, and also protect. Now, the use of strong password policy, just like we mentioned when you are protecting yourself personally, as an organization, you need to enforce the use of strong and unique password policy in your organization among your staff from all levels, from the most basic level to the highest admin level. Strong password policy that needs to be changed, and the need for staff not to share password even amongst themselves in regular work email or on open communication channels like Slack, social media. Things like that are very, very essential. So the use of firewalls, intrusion detection systems, intrusion prevention systems, use of legitimate anti-malware and antivirus software, use of up-to-date software, staff awareness and orientation, very, very, very important, even down to the clerk or to anyone that has to handle organizations' data, there is a need for staff awareness and orientation. Let them know the reason why they have to keep a strong password policy, the reason why they don't have to share it, the major reason why they don't have to click on random links, the use of strong password policy. And yeah, lastly, least privilege access. There is something we call insider threats in cybersecurity. And insider threats can actually occur from staffs who were probably laid off unjustly or who have been bought, like when you buy off a staff the first time. We all watch all these kind of hero movies now. When someone is trying to get into an organization that just look for someone that they can pay off. Okay, I'll give you so amount, just give me the login details or help us secure an entry into the organization. It happens in all these banks kind of this thing, bank kind of thefts. Before they go rob a bank, they need someone on the inside who understands the way the whole thing works, the way the infrastructure is. To prevent things like this, like to prevent one chain of worker from actually being a kind of threat to the whole organization, there is a need to implement least privilege access. Least privilege access. And what does this mean? Like each person should just be the access that each person is giving to the organization's network should be limited to the amount of work that they have to do. If your job is to just register new customers in a bank, nothing concerns you with changing people's password or not regarding with changing people's password or dealing with the organization's private data, keeping organization's private financial data and stuff like that. What else? Okay, so I think we are rounding up already, 15 minutes. Yeah, let's go on to question and answers. Yeah, career path in cybersecurity. Like I mentioned earlier when we just started, when I asked everybody what does cybersecurity mean to you, what do you think cybersecurity is all about? And there are different kind of definitions. So most people when you hear cybersecurity, the only thing they think about is hacking. When I tell people I'm into cybersecurity, they be like, ah, I'm the hacker, so you hack. That's wonderful. Cybersecurity is not about hacking. There are different fields, like a whole lot of diverse fields that has nothing to do with hacking into systems at all. Law students, for instance, not necessarily law students, like I'm just trying to relate it. We all know law is an art subject, right? And involves reading. There's a similar field like that right here in cybersecurity. And it's not as if they have to break into systems or crack password and stuff like that. But let's move on. Let's move on. Career path in cybersecurity, basically, we have them in three. We have the offensive, defensive, and we have the risk compliance. But it is so hard to keep them under this like umbrella of three different sections because there are a whole lot of diverse fields there. But we'll try to limit them to these ones for now. For now. The offensive part, that's where we have those that, ethical hackers. They're also called penetration testers. They are the one that hack into systems. The old cool stuff, guy wearing hoodie, although it's more of having rough hair and not getting enough sleep. Then there is reverse engineering, those who try to like take back the processes of how an attack happened, like how an attack happened, trying to retrace it and finding ways to be able to reverse engineers are kind of in the middle between offensive and defensive that we'll be talking about now. We have web application testers, basically anything penetration testing, web testers, anything testing. They're on the offensive side. Just know that that's where we have ethical hacking application testing. We have the defensive side. These are the people who need to take that aspect of cybersecurity where we have to talk about detection beforehand. They look at their current infrastructure, that's assessing it, vulnerability, risk assessment kind of stuff. Then they now try to build up defenses limit that would limit the probability of an attack on them, limit the case where they can be hacked, stuff like that. We have incident response, digital forensics. They basically come in after an attack has happened to investigate and know the processes through which the attack actually happened. Then, after going through the process through which the attack happened, they set up defenses. And with time, they transfer it over to, we have people that we call threat analysts. These people study oh my God, they study the like how threats happen, real-time threats monitoring, and try to use it to build up defense mechanisms also. So vulnerability and risk assessments, those ones that are right from the before an attack happened, try to assess an infrastructure network. What are the threats that we can have? What are likely people that can target us? What are the likely people that can, okay, are we likely to be targeted by insider threats, employees who have been bribed, or employees who were fired unjustly, who feel they were fired unjustly. Okay, is it something like just someone who needs organization data or personal data? What are the things we have that can be hacked? Assessment like that are what vulnerability and risk assessors do on a regular basis. Then we have network security. Network security and things like cloud security are the reason why I was saying cybersecurity is broad and fixing them on these three things. Network security, networking, the way things are connected together, the way all the devices in an organization are connected together, ensuring they are secure so one of them does not act as an entry point for an attacker to come inside. Then cloud security, the whole concept of cloud, the whole concept of cloud, how to secure it and also ensure that it's not serving as an entry point for attackers. Coming, I'll respond to all questions. Yeah, then lastly, we have the ethics, law, and compliance part. That's where we have GRC, what we call governance, risk, and compliance. These are people who ensure that cybersecurity measures are up to date and taken in an organization, auditing, risk analysis. Basically, these people, they have to make sure that, okay, as an organization, you are following measures like this. Customers' data that is with you is being stored well in a way that they cannot be leaked. It is confidential enough, and you are not selling it off without people's knowledge. So GRC, the compliance people, they're the ones that handle things like this. Before we move on to the um, average salaries that most of the cybersecurity roles collect, like nationwide, I come to listen. I would address some questions here. So someone asked, like, general question is new to cybersecurity, the best way to start courses, certifications, boot camps, or more. Basically, like all tech skills, it is not like a kind of get rich quick scheme. But the best thing I would advise is just to start from somewhere. Google is there. There is no way you can be cybersecurity and you will know how to research, no matter the field you're in. You do research, you do report writing. You even if you are an hacker pressing this thing, you have to see your job is not well accomplished if you cannot explain it to non-technical people. If you claim that you hack into systems, if you can't explain to the if you can't explain to the managerial those in managerial kind of roles who don't have anything to do with all this technical part of hacking, if you can't explain and break things down to them, okay, we will act like this, we need to do this, we need to do that, these are defense measures that we need to take, this is the reason why we need to enforce staff awareness, we need to enforce strong password policy, least privilege access. If you can't explain it to these people in non-technical manners, there is no way on earth you'll be able to do your job right. Now, the mode of learning works for different people. For some people, it can be online courses, paid or free. For some people, it can be certifications. For some, it can be boot camps. For some, it can be boot camps for them to learn. Depends on how well you learn on your own and what works best for you. And yeah, Octave Incorporations is actually coming up with a boot camp very soon on introduction to cybersecurity. She'll span for at least like 3 to 4 months, and Michael will be giving you more update on that. So where all of this will be addressed. Some people did not have to do certifications for them to make it. Some it was boot camps. Personally, it was boot camp that worked for me plus certifications. But just start from somewhere and start researching, then join communities. It is very, very important to network with people. Join communities. Put yourself out there. Don't say that I don't want people to know what I'm doing. Everybody will know that this is what I'm doing now. I'm not a social media person. See, you cannot grow in a field if you don't put yourself out there, join communities, engage, even if you don't know yet. I was in cybersecurity communities for close to a year without actually contributing to commercial. I shall know these bosses are doing something. Then when you are ready, for the fact that they see that you're okay, you're actually committed to learning this thing, they'll be ready to help you on the way when you eventually start yourself, because bulk of the load is actually on you. It depends on you. You have to be able to research so well, learn for long hours, before you can finally decide the field you want to go into and stuff like that. So before we move on to the final question section, there's just like an overview of the average salaries of cybersecurity roles worldwide. This is a worldwide data. If you're in Nigeria, I want advise you to follow all of this because it takes a long while, although with enough learning and training, you'll be able to, in the long run, outside the country, definitely not within Nigeria. But yeah, that is all. Thank you very much for listening. You can ask your questions now within the few minutes that we have left. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Alima, for that wonderful and insightful webinar. It's really
The various we have are quite expensive.
yeah. So
Countries, Rahma.
if you have your
Yeah,
questions,
antivirus
you can
software
ask. And
can be expensive, but okay. But one thing most people
I think
actually
there's
do,
a
like,
question.
yeah, I'm actually answering one on StreamYard. Someone asked that most antivirus softwares are expensive. I'll address other
Okay,
questions from
okay.
YouTube. Yeah. Okay, so when you say most adverts are, you can actually crowd. You know the way people gather and pay for this Apple Music, YouTube Music, Spotify, stuff like that. Antivirus softwares like Kaspersky actually allows sharing for up to, I think, 2 to 3 people, or is it up to five? And you can get a group of friends or group of people that you would actually gather to buy the stuff and then use. It is on a yearly basis. kind of this thing. Stuff like that are actually more secure than using free and low quality ones. Okay, so bank apps, the I symbol in the password section. The I symbol is just for hiding or showing the password. That's really nothing much about security stuff. Then YouTube. Okay, let me take the questions we have on YouTube. Okay. What certifications needed to be in identity access management? Uh, Basically, I'm coming. Okay, so this was certifications needed to be in IAM, Identity Access and Management. I know one for Microsoft that I took, and that is SC900. It can help you get started. But there are further advanced certifications that Microsoft provides for that role. You can check Google. You can check Google for information like that. But basically, see, especially if you are here in Nigeria as an African, it is more of gaining skills. Organizations, what they want to see is what you can do. So I would advise you learn from bootcamp, register for bootcamp programs, training programs, and also learning more on your own. Basically, that's the best way you can grow. Certifications or no certifications, if you can't prove that okay, this is actually what I can do. If I have EJPT that is made for pen testers, I can actually work as a penetration tester. How long does it take to know hacking? Just like saying every other thing, ethical hacking. How long it takes you to learn it actually depends on you yourself. Depends on how much time you put in, the commitment, and also the amount of time and effort. Yeah, if you're in a community of like-minded people and you put in the work yourself, like working consistently, your growth should be like very fast enough. But that does not mean within 3 months of learning how to hack, you just make it like that. There is nothing like how long it takes. It is not a general something. If one is new to tech, can the person learn cybersecurity? Yes, it is very, very beginner friendly. And also, the surprising thing is most people that we have that actually work in cybersecurity are not from IT background. We have people that studied history, studied English language, medicine, law, from diverse fields. It is very, very easy to understand and learn actually. Okay, Michael. Oh.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, can you like share the link to the community, like in the chat section, so they'll be able to join from there? Because I want to drop some materials for beginners joining cybersecurity, and I don't have them here with me now.
Um, I would have to. Okay. All right. Keep answering the question. Let me fetch the link.
Okay, okay, no problem. Okay, so any other question? No question on stream yet. Everyone is new to tech. How can someone in cybersecurity? Okay, we're ending the session in a few minutes already. A person who is a data specialist but just want to know a bit about it for the purpose of curiosity, would you advise so of this person sticks to his specialization of choosing? Okay, Azan, to answer you first, to know about cybersecurity is not just a thing about like having to work in it. That's why I said anybody who is on the internet or who has a device actually needs to know about cybersecurity. No basic things like security measures that we said now. Strong password policy, not sharing your details with others, be mindful of what you post on social media, things like that. That is cybersecurity already. And part of it is just knowing, like cybersecurity is just about being like cyber aware, know what you are doing. If you want to learn about it for curiosity, there is no problem, especially as a data specialist. People in security, there's something we call security operation centers. Since here in Nigeria, it is most common in banks where they monitor threats in real time and like kind of see potential this thing on their network. So people like that, they deal with data on a daily basis because they have to recognize anomalies in their data flow, things that are not normal, things that don't occur regularly, and then the normal mode of operation. So as a data specialist, I feel like that's still something related to cybersecurity on its own. Which aspect of cybersecurity is a big deal in terms of money in Nigeria? Oh well, I can say one aspect of cybersecurity is bigger than another. Every this is Nigeria. It's just anything that works for you. If you're in it because of the money, you would easily give up. And that's just the fact with a lot of tech skills. If you joined in because of big money in Nigeria, any little this thing that you face, you easily back it up because most things are moving to the this thing now. Like we are moving to using things on the internet. Let's say, for instance, now with all these cash issues that happened, old people who did not know how to do transfer and digital transactions like that, they were forced to learn how to do it, right? So the more we are using this kind of devices, take IoT devices for instance now, smart device, your fridge, you can control how your fridge works or how your lights can turn on from anywhere. Things like that. It is actually like an entry this thing for hackers to be able to hack in. You said you have a smart TV in your home. What if someone is actually spying on you via that, like using that? We know it is very, very common to hack into someone's system and be using the camera to monitor them without their knowledge. Your system is in your room, it is open, but what you don't know is that the camera, like in front of the system, is what someone is using to actually spy on you. So the more we have things like that, there is this growing need for cybersecurity professionals, and there would always be the growing need. There is no aspect that is bigger than another. Everything works hand in hand in terms of, and that's the major reason why you can't go in it for money. I would advise you just get started because okay, there are some aspects that everybody in cybersecurity actually needs to know, irrespective of your field. Like even if it is law and compliance, you have to know the basic workings of networking, introduction to cybersecurity, security principles, use of Linux for those in the technical aspects, and yeah, I've mentioned security principles. So after doing stuff like that, then you can now explore the offensive, defensive, or GRC, that's governance, risk, and compliance, which has to do with law-based or detain and stuff like that. When you now find out what works for you, what you feel like, okay, this actually aligns with my personality or my personal mission, you can take it up. But looking at it in terms of big deal because of money, it's not advisable. And in Nigeria, we don't have anything like that, like in terms of money in Nigeria. Cybersecurity, cybersecurity. No field weighs higher than the other. So do we have any more questions? If there is none, I think we can end the call now.
All right, thank you very much, Alima. We really appreciate your time. Just to quickly add something, we are also organizing um, a boot camp on cybersecurity, and
Yeah.
you can you can definitely join the community from the comment. I send the link to the comment section. So you learn all of this, and basically the bootcamp will take you from beginners to becoming a cybersecurity personnel. So it's a good opportunity to actually leverage on. All right. So thank you all for your time, and well, we have more webinars coming up next week, which is on sales analysis and upper week on blockchain development. So we definitely are giving us this very detailed career development series back to back. So just stay updated with our different activities. All right. So thank you everyone for attending. Thank you, Alima, for your time. We are, I really
Yeah,
enjoyed
thank
everything
you
you
for
explained.
having me.
All right then. Take care, everyone. Bye bye. I'm ending the broadcast now.